Hi there, I'm Liz Devonshire, a brand photographer and visibility specialist. Welcome to my brand new series, The Photography Shift. Last autumn, I created a collection of interviews called The Visibility Shift, where I spoke to 12 awesome female founders about how to step out of your comfort zone and into the limelight and confidently embrace visibility. I absolutely loved these sessions and had a ball with some wonderful entrepreneurs. And because it worked out so well, I decided to do it all over again. The Photography Shift interviews are a follow-up from last year's discussions and the chance to talk about what happens after we've taken that first step. If the visibility shift was about strategic decisions to show up for your brand, then the photography shift is really about identity, embodiment, and market positioning. It moves from visibility as action to visual presence as transformation. And I'm so excited to share with you the first conversation with my guest, Claire Bannister, the Unstoppable Growth Coach. My conversation with her is fascinating, so please do listen to the end. But before I begin, I've been nagged with love by many people in my life that I need to start pitching myself a little more in these interviews. So here goes with my shameless pitch. As you know, I'm a brand photographer. What you may not know is that I have over 30 years in the photography industry. Now, it's hard to believe, right? And my personal brand photography gives you a chance to showcase your brand story visually and connect with your audience on a deeper level. And together we can create some truly scroll-stopping images that go to the heart of your business, tailor-made for your clients. My visibility vault is 6 sessions of teaching you how to master content creation and increase your visibility. And I'm so excited to be introducing a guest speaker, Jessica Marvel, who'll help you create the perfect video piece to camera for your socials. So please do drop me a DM and find out more so we can have a chat about this. And now I want to introduce Claire, the Unstoppable Growth Coach, and I really hope you enjoy our conversation together. Today, I'm really delighted to introduce Claire Bannister, the Unstoppable Coach. Claire is a mindset and business coach who works with female founders and leaders to help them unlock their full potential and overcome blocks holding them back and build the business and life they truly want. Claire describes herself as a force of nature, and as somebody I've met quite a few times, I can certainly endorse that. And she also says she's been through highs and lows, but keeps on showing up. And she brings that energy into empowering other women to grow into business with clarity, confidence, and joy. Wow. So, Claire, the Unstoppable Growth Coach, welcome and thank you for joining me today. I love your business name, the Unstoppable Growth Coach. Unstoppable. I just love it. It makes me feel like there are no ceilings and anything is possible, and we're moving forward no matter what. So I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about being unstoppable and your journey into creating your business.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Let's do Unstoppable first. I guess for me, there is two things that stop us that Unstoppable sort of resonates with me. The first one is I fundamentally believe that I mean I work with women in particular, but women can be unstoppable, whatever that means for them, as long as they believe they can be. And all too often we get in our own way. We limit ourselves, we conform, or we listen to the stories that we've been told for years and that are in our heads. And for me, part of my role is to get people, my clients, to believe that anything is possible, therefore they can be unstoppable. So that's kind of from where it came from originally, from that. But actually what I've realized having done this role is that unstoppable also means, like you say, like we're evolving so much throughout our business journey. And I say that to my children, like you don't have to make a decision on what you do and who you are now, because we're all fundamentally different than we were. I'm different than the woman who started this business 2.5 years ago. So we all evolve. But all too often my clients don't see that or don't recognize that they are a different woman to the woman who started their business 5, 10 years ago. And they're my clients, those women that are blooming good at what they do, but kind of feel disconnected from their business, working all the hours and kind of don't realize that they are different and that they can keep continuing to grow. So that's where Unstoppable come from. A lot from belief, but also a lot from we are women who should be evolving. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that. And my business journey, I guess, started. Someone said to me, like, I'm the queen of pivots. I started in boring procurement, in financial services in London, and then I ended up finding a total different job and working with image, colour, and style and personal branding, which was much more fun because that's all about dressing and empowering women to reflect who they are in the inside on the outside. And I absolutely fundamentally believe and love that for somebody. Um, but then the last pivot, for want of a better word, was when I left that company and I took on the role of becoming a business and mindset coach and doing the training to do that, because using all of that expertise of working in other companies, but also running my own companies to then helping women do the same. It was kind of, for me now, it looks like it was the most natural path, but at the time, I don't think it felt like that. That's how I've got to where I am, and I work with female business owners who I said are masters in their art to help them redefine what their unstoppable is.
I mean, as you say, I mean, it does seem like a kind of quite a smooth journey, although I'm sure when you were experiencing it, it wasn't quite like that.
No.
But when you're sort of talking about kind of looking at the way women were showing up,
Yeah,
as in how they were looking and dressing, and then coming on to how they're showing up for their businesses,
yeah,
you can see the kind of the
yeah,
transition and the joy in between those
yeah.
things, which is amazing. So I kind of wanted to start thinking about your beginning of your business, um, and think about at what point in your growth did you realize that your visual presence needed to evolve and your visuals weren't actually matching the level of your work? Because you're obviously working with all these like female leaders, and founders, and entrepreneurs. So I'm just curious to know how you kind of came to that point.
Well, I think it goes before this job. I think when I worked with House of Colour, it's a very visual company. So we were, as I ran my own business, and then when I was the managing director, I very used to having professional shots, um, and became, um, I guess, became quite intolerant of my own photos that I took of myself because I knew that the professional ones looked so much better than me. But that was about inspiring women, showing them how dressing for the right shape was right for them, and you can do that pictorially really well. But then when I became this, like, in this role, I knew that I wanted professional photos for my website. And I had them done very soon after. And I'm a woman who, has all the normal women hang-ups about what I look like, and oh, my tummy looks big, and all of that stuff, which I'm sure you get with all your clients all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
uh, yeah, but I knew that I wanted photos done for my website. So I had a photographer who I've worked with before come here and take some pictures. But and I did that because I wanted to look professional, authoritative, but also warm and friendly. Because if you want a business coach, you've got to have that connection. It's a very personal relationship. I work with my clients one on one. I get very in their business. So I've got to reflect that in my imagery. And she captured it perfectly well for me at that time. Um, so I don't think there was, for me, I don't think there was there was no doubt that I'd need photos. So it was very early on, to answer your question, it was very early on in my business. It was kind of one of those first investment things. I have a long list of investments
Yeah.
I'd like to do with my business. But this was probably, you can't get a website until you've done that, Claire. So it was very early on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things that it's an investment in you and your business, and it also stops those barriers occurring. As you say, you need
Yeah.
pictures to have a website, you need pictures to promote yourself, market yourself on social media. Um, if you decide you're going to go into sort of podcast or all these marketing things, you do need to have visuals of yourself. So it's just interesting. I think people come to it at different points. They have a
Yes.
realization, but it's nice to hear like that you kind of had that knowledge already when you came into the business. It makes
Yeah.
things a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I mean, you have quite a strong visual identity. I mean, I've looked at all your kind of website and your socials and everything. Um, and do you think that that visual identity that you have has influenced the way people perceive your authority? And did your investment in photography, in fact, you did it right at the beginning, influence the way that clients perceive and actually essentially pay you? Because that's what, we're in
Yeah.
business and we want to be paid our worth. And I'm just interested to see if your
Mm.
if your visuals and your identity and your branding have all kind of had a uh, enough what's the word? Sorry, had
That's sort of like a
an
reflection of
influence.
what I get paid.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
an
So
influence on that.
let's take that bit first. I have got a very strong visual identity. I think it came from the House of Colour, sort of visual identity, although it has changed dramatically, and I know we'll cover that in a while because I am evolving myself. So the way I want to be portrayed in pictures is very different than those original pictures on my website. So that's an
Yeah,
interesting one. So hold that thought.
yeah,
Um, but from a has it affected whether people pay? I think that my ideal client is someone who has very high standards themselves. And therefore, I knew that if I'm going to inspire them, help them, coach them, stretch them, challenge them, support them, I need to be leading with setting an example. And, I have a bugbear with people who use out of date photos because if it doesn't look like you on your LinkedIn profile, then that builds a mistrust. And with
yeah,
AI, I just think it's even more important now to make sure that we are reflecting who we are and
yeah,
that we're showing up as ourselves today. So, from 100%, I think it has helped so many of the people I hop on calls with go, I've checked out your website. I knew, oh, like I knew it was you, that kind of thing. And I'm showing up probably not with as much brightness but I'm I'm in the room, right? So
yeah,
that's the force of nature bit. So if I blended in black, not that I ever would, but if I came in with black, that wouldn't particularly be on brand for me. So
yeah,
I think it's just added a level of credibility to my brand that I definitely felt I needed at the beginning. And now it just helps bolster and reinforce now.
yeah, yeah. I think it is so important. We all have to show ourselves authentically and be ourselves and be comfortable in ourselves and also represent our brand. And it's so easy to kind of go off kill, especially if we're kind of going into public and we're, maybe going to an event and we're looking desperately for something to wear and we
Yeah.
can kind of go off on another tangent, but we've all really always got to kind of show up as ourselves,
Yeah.
both in our photos and in real life. No, that's really interesting. That is. Um, I wanted to ask you, and I'm asking this question particularly to you. I'm not sure that I'll be asking all my interviews this, but I
Oh,
thought
got a
you would
special
have. You've
question.
got a special question. Um, just because knowing you a little bit as I do, I think I'd be really interested in your take on this. Um, what do you think stops women from investing in photography in their business? Because the reason I'm asking that is because I have many, many women coming to me, and always the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, I really don't want to have my picture taken." I don't, they do have their picture taken but there's always like this barrier and this delay for a lot of women, where they could be having pictures a bit earlier, like you did. So, I'd really like to kind of get your take on that.
It's such an interesting concept. Throughout my life, I have realized that we as women have various stages in our life. We may become, wives, partners, mothers, whatever it is, carers, and all of those stages in our life. And all too often I see we're like at the bottom of the pile and And slowly but surely, we chip away at our identity. We don't really know who we are. I was fundamentally a different person once I had my children to after, after them before, and all of those stages, and the menopause. And let's not even go there. So, and I think we lose our identity, and then maybe we start a business, and we're good at what we do, and we've got the fire in our belly to do something for us, but we haven't, our identity hasn't really caught up with us. And then we've got all of this baggage, and like so many times I now know that what we feel about ourselves as women will impact how successful your business is. Whether and no one really makes that connection. The only people that will stop our businesses being successful is ourselves and our thoughts. And the thoughts about ourselves are the worst ones. And those thoughts around, oh, like, I've got a double chin. These are the thoughts I have, right? I've got a double chin. Oh my God, what an awful angle. Oh, my tummy looks big sitting down. I'd rather stand. All of that stuff, and loads more. I don't know what to wear. How do I don't even like shopping. All of those thoughts, they then get in there. And of course, our subconscious brain is programmed to keep us safe. So having your photos scary. You know,
Yeah.
I was that kid that hid at the back at my school photos. Like, I hated my photo being taken. You won't believe that when you now see me all over Instagram. But
Yeah.
I was that girl, and I'm not the only one, right? So
Yeah.
it's it's about working on yourself to understand that, almost disassociating yourself with the image and kind of going, what do I want to portray? What do I want my clients to feel when they see an image of me? Do I want them to feel connected to me? They're not looking at whether I've got a droopy chin or not. But all too often, I think we get in our heads about our own image.
Mm.
Um, and I've seen that recently. I recently did a collaboration with somebody, and we did like a get confident telling your story thing. So like I meet so many women, and we've talked about our stories in our life, and stories are such a powerful thing. To get on video and camera and tell your story is a way of building that trust with your client. And and we did this amazing event, and everyone was really confident. I was in tears watching these women go from terrified to like telling their story and owning it. But then when they got delivered, and you must see that, you get delivered your photos, you get delivered
Yeah.
your video. Oh, it was like tumbleweed. Everyone was like, and I knew what had happened. And I was literally on the chat going, you all in your heads? And they're like, how did you know? I was like, because I knew you would be. I knew you'd be looking and going, oh, I don't like that. And of course,
Yeah.
all the thoughts came out. Oh, I don't like the way I'm sitting. I don't, all of this stuff. And I'm not decrying, they are real thoughts,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they can be disabling, and they will strip you from being unstoppable if you don't harness them and use them in a really positive way. Um, and it's just, and I don't think you may be able to tell me something different because you've photographed women and men. I don't think men think like that as much. It's a generalization,
Yeah.
but I really don't think they have the hang-ups that
Yeah.
us women sometimes have. Maybe it's a society thing. Um,
Yeah.
so it's about,
Yeah.
do you? I don't know.
N- not in the same way. I mean, some men do have a lot of hang-ups when they're photographed, and they will be quite kind of um the judge their, how they're looking. They're quite kind of they have high sort of perfection kind of
Yeah,
ideals
yeah.
about how they want to show
Hmm.
themselves. I mean, most of the men I've photographed have been fairly sort of sensitive type of men, so who are very introverted as well. So I do see some parallels between
Yeah.
men and women, but I do think you're right in the sense that women do hold themselves back. Um,
Mm.
and, you know, we all think that everyone's looking at us to look for those imperfections.
Yeah.
We all think if we think we've got a double chin, that's the first thing everyone's going to look at. But actually, people look at us as a whole being. They're not looking at our chin, whereas we are looking at just that chin, you know.
Of course.
I mean, because
Because,
we're,
and we only see ourselves, no one else sees us or hears us like we do.
yeah, Yeah,
because that's
because
just actually, people just don't. So,
yeah,
you know, it's actually okay if I don't like my double chin, really.
yeah,
That's fine.
I think, I often say to my clients about when they receive their products, if they, look at their pictures of themselves and feel uncomfortable, to put those pictures away, in a drawer for a day or two, and then come back to them and look at them again,
Mm,
and then perhaps show them to somebody they really trust, like a partner or a mum, and they will tell them the
yeah,
truth.
yeah,
And often you see pictures over and over again. You have to get used to them. You have to get used to this professional, confident looking woman that's in
yeah,
front of you, rather than the person that you look in the mirror every day, where you're looking for a start, you're looking at yourself the other way round.
yes,
All your
yes,
features
yes.
are different. Um, yeah, so it is it's a really interesting way to see how women can get through that. And I think you're
Mm,
right, mindset is a really important piece of advice to get people to kind of look at that and think
yeah.
about how they're sort of experiencing kind of being more visible. I've
Mm.
got one final question for you here, and that's when you sort of were thinking about your own brand shoot experience. I'd really like you to share with everyone um, how you prepared for it, and what perhaps one piece of practical advice or action you'd recommend someone take before their own brand shoot. It could either be, before the day or on the day itself.
Oh, quite a lot. But anyway, I think it's about, firstly, the biggest thing I did was, particularly on the latest photo shoots that I've had, is how do I want to come across, and what is the, like, I'm going through a huge identity shift myself. So therefore and I've lost weight and all of the things. So what I used to love wearing doesn't look like me anymore. Then some of them pictures don't look like me anymore, from my perspective. So I really worked with my photographer to understand how, with her actually, with her suggestions, like how can this be different and how can this portray the person I am? And I picked some words that I wanted kind of to come out in the pictures, and which she captured perfectly. But on a practical level, I did not go and get my outfits out the day before. I planned what I was wearing.
Yeah,
So I literally was very intentional, because taking those words and then going, okay, so what have I got in my wardrobe? What have I not got in my wardrobe that I need to find that can portray that? It might be my makeup, it might be a different lipstick, it might, whatever it was. And I'm much more, they're much more neutral colours actually, with pops of colour, than they were like the loud and garish prints. Um, and so it was a little bit more elevated. That was one of my words. So I really planned my outfits, and I made sure that I had quick changes so that I could get a lot of photos, but in different outfits, because I get bored really quickly in my photos.
yeah,
So I
yeah. Good
like to
idea.
have them looking different. Um, and so it was just quick changes, just even the top changing.
Yeah,
Is that
really,
is that what?
really good advice. Yeah, I mean, I always sort of like try and sort of say to clients, make the most. You've got a certain amount of time, make the most of it. So let's make sure we plan everything, and that includes like outfits as well. So that's really, really great.
I
Gosh,
also think, sorry, just to say, I also think that what I did, which I didn't realize I did, that isn't what everyone else does, is I took photos of my outfits,
yeah,
even like from the necklace of like this jumpsuit with this necklace, right? So, and hung them all up and took pictures, because when you're in the throes of the photography and you go, right, okay, and the photographer goes, do you want to change an outfit? I go, oh, I don't know what you want to wear. Or what
yeah.
was I going to wear next? And so then I got them on my phone. Oh, right, okay, that one,
Really,
that one. Yeah.
that's great advice, actually. I'm going to pass
So
that on
you
to my
know where
client.
your belt is and your top is and your
Yeah.
neck, changing your earrings. So yeah,
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Claire. This has been such a brilliant session. There's loads and loads of gems in here. Thank you so much for sharing your insights into your journeys and your experience in visibility and photography. Um,
that's right. Thank you
so
for having me.
so I just wanted to say that Claire's information details, should you want to get in touch with Claire, will be with her video, and also I'll be putting it into the comments on the socials. So you can contact Claire if you've got any questions or you want to find out more about her business and coaching. I think it sounds like absolutely fabulous. And we'll be here every week for the next 12 weeks. So please do pop in. I've got some other fabulous people who will be joining us. But in the meantime, thanks, Claire. This has been brilliant. And, you know, I can't wait to see what you're going to be up to next. Take care.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye. Wow, wow, wow. That was a fantastic interview with Claire. So many insights, so interesting. Plenty of takeaways. I'm just going to touch on a couple of those things which I thought were really impactful. The first thing was how she spoke about how not investing early enough in your business in terms of photography and marketing can be a real barrier. We need to invest in order to get websites, go on, get interviews, get podcasts, get our social media in order. And I thought that was really interesting, her take on it. You don't have to spend a lot of money in that investment. You could look at some mini shoots just to start you off, but sooner or later, you're going to have to look at what images you're putting out there and what it's saying about you. So I thought that was really interesting when she was talking about that. She was also talking about the transformation in business as time goes on. So you might initially get those pictures done, whether it's a mini shoot or a full brand shoot when you first start out. But you have to keep reflecting and examining the business to make sure that what you're communicating in that imagery is keeping up with what you're actually doing in business, and with your authority. And as you're elevating through business, are the images elevating with you? And finally, she was talking about mindset, and I loved the way she said about how we feel about ourselves has a real impact on how the business develops. Because if we don't believe in ourselves, it's very difficult for other people to believe in our business. So I think there are really important things for us all to think about when we're going into business. Our mindset is so important, and we've got to have a positive mindset and really believe in ourselves. But it's not always easy. It's easy to say, but it's not always easy to do. And if we're struggling, then perhaps we really need to kind of think about where we can get the help in terms to assist our mindset to start that journey of belief in ourselves and our business. But awesome interview. I'm so grateful to you, Claire. Thank you very much for coming on, and hopefully everyone listening has taken something away that they can think about and use in their business, and maybe use on their next shoot that they have. And as I said previously, please do DM me. I would love to help you with your brand photography and your visibility. So please do get in touch. And in the meantime, I will see you next week. Come along next Wednesday to the next interview. I can promise you it's going to be fantastic. Take care. Bye.